My grandfather was looking straight at it from the back of the boat. He stepped back a step, but tripped and rolled right off the back of the boat into the gator-infested water. Hello and welcome back to Talk About Strange. I got some really good stories in for you I want to share. We got one that came in from Manchester, England. That's going to be a lot of fun. I want to share that one with you. That one is a paranormal story. It's short, but I want to share it with you on here. And then I'm going to follow that up by that Florida skunk ape. So we get a couple of stories in one here. And then I'm going to do another video. So watch out for that one. That one's going to be coming up next. And again, I got a couple, one quick story and then one a little bit longer story. So buckle in. We're going to have a lot of fun with them. Time to get back on track. My power was out all day yesterday, all last night, and most of the day today till just like an hour ago. So, and it is 4 o'clock now, a little after 4. So finally got the power back on. I've been huffing fumes from the generator. I couldn't record because of all the noise, but let's get back on track and ready to rock and roll. What do you say? So let's go ahead and get started right in on this. Things are going great. The channel's going great. All the comments, everything. I appreciate you guys. We're doing a wonderful job. We had some great stories come in following up on that saga. I gave birth to, or well, this part was we gave birth to multiple Bigfoot babies against our will. That one with Tommy and Anna. So that was phenomenal, and we had a lot of great conversation going about that. A lot of love and support. Thank you for all that, you guys. So now we're going to continue on. We got some other stories, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed for more information coming back from all of them, from Claire and Wendy and all of them. So if you haven't been following that saga, I gave birth to Bigfoot's daughter. That is the name of, that's actually the playlist that I put that under. All the videos are on there. So if you want to check that out, go back to the beginning. I want to warn you, the very first video, I was very new at this. So it's, it's a little bit of a tough read for me starting out. And I got some background sounds in there and stuff that are a little bit rough. I'm thinking about, and you guys tell me what you think. I'm thinking about redoing the video and just doing an updated version of it now that I've kind of come into myself here on what I'm doing. And maybe we can make that one a little bit better. I've even thought about doing something along the lines of continuing reading them right through on. I don't know if I could do it all in one video because there's quite a few now, but it would be fairly long if I did. So if you guys have any ideas or thoughts on that, let me know. All right. So let's get on with this before I ramble on too long. Hi, Steve. My name is Geraldine from Manchester, England. My story starts from when I was a few months old when my parents lived in a house that had a poltergeist. My mom would tell me stories about what happened in our house. She said that many a times she'd gotten back home from doing school run with my elderly siblings or doing some shopping, and the living room would be rearranged. So once she told me she saw a little girl at the top of the stairs dressed in a sailor dress, and she had the most beautiful curly hair. The more sinister stories. She told me that she was really frightened one day because the double bed she was in started shaking violently. She thought that the dog was having a good scratch, but the dog wasn't under the bed. It was downstairs in the kitchen. Another story that she told me was that I was in my cot/crib as a baby and I wouldn't stop crying. So when she came in to check on me, my left foot was swollen and black and twisted. There was no way whatsoever I could have caught it on anything. And I was too small to roll around. Plus she had a bumper set there and everything she could do to keep me from moving around and falling. So see, there's no way I could have done it myself. When I turned 1, we moved into a bigger home. This was also had paranormal activity going on. I saw many things, from a couple getting married in my bedroom with the priest standing at the bottom of the bed. And then another time I saw a lady at the top of the stairs in a rocking chair holding a baby, rocking away, and the older woman stood at her side. My mother kept seeing a nun that used to walk him. My brother used to keep seeing a nun that used to wake him for a glass of water. This went on for many years. intact. All 4 siblings had their own ghost stories to tell, and as did my mother. God rest her soul. Now that I'm older, I'm very sensitive to feeling and seeing them, but I don't know if it's me or just the hauntings of the house I've lived in. Laugh out loud. You laugh. Now my grandbabies are sensitive to them too, and told me how they have been seeing them in the house and seeing things move around. Things would happen and would show up in places, turn up missing in places, and show up where it was unexpected. I did forget to mention that my hometown was Bury, Massachusetts. It is meant to be called Bury, as in many years ago it was meant to be a burial ground, or so I've been told. Anyway, I could go on, but I'll keep this email short and save them for another time. By the way, your show is great. Keep up the fantastic work, Steve and the TAS family. Geraldine, thank you very much. That's wild. Man, a poltergeist house. Wow. But you got out of that house and moved into another house that had paranormal activity. You got to wonder if they were following you. I'm curious if you ever had anybody come in, a spiritualist or anything like that, to check that out, investigate it, or see what they could find out, or if you ever tried to have them removed, which from the movie is a bad idea. But anyway, very cool. Thank you for sending that to us all the way from England. So that's pretty wild. All right. So now let's get on to I had to transfer this so I can see it because it was quite a lot. But so it was small print and I couldn't see it. So, all right, the Florida Skunk Ape. You ready? Steve, my name is Carl. I lived in DeLand, Florida for 30 years or so. I spent a ton of time on the St. John River fishing and exploring. I don't know how much you know about the St. John River, but it's huge, long, twisted, and full of small channels and coves. It's the perfect place to disappear for a day or a lifetime, depending on who you are. It's also just as dangerous as it is beautiful. So I've been enjoying your channel for a while now and thought I would share a couple quick little stories with you, and you can share them if you choose. The one that did it for me was that Skunk Ape was my grandfather's best friend. I believe that story is true, and I'll tell you why. My grandfather spent most of his life out there on that river fishing and gator hunting. When I was a sprout, as he called me, he told me stories about the skunk apes that lived out there along the river. He said the first one scared him clear off the back of the boat. Him, my father, and my uncle were using a push pole to quietly move along the banks at night looking for gators. My father spotted a set of eyes on the bank and told my grandfather to push them in closer. My father was taking aim with his rifle when all of a sudden the hedgerow of bushes blasted open and this giant gorilla-looking thing just busted through the cypress trees and screamed at them, scaring my father so much he literally dropped his rifle in the water. My uncle said he fell backwards off his seat and was looking straight up at the stars. He didn't see it, but he heard it and said that was enough for him. My grandfather was looking straight at it from the back of the boat. He stepped back a step, but tripped and rolled right off the back of the boat into the gator-infested water. He said that was his very next thought, is where the hell did that alligator go? So he quickly climbed back up into the boat and started paddling back out far enough to wrap the rope around the pulley and start the motor. My father's rifle, my grandfather's favorite pipe, are still out there to this day. It was a while before they went back out that night hunting, but my grandfather started fishing that spot again after a few weeks, thinking maybe he would see it again. He said about 3 months after that, he was out there fishing in a different spot, but just around a corner from there. He had a tug on his line and was waiting patiently for the right moment when he heard a branch snap. He said, I'm not talking about a twig breaking. I mean a branch broke like something ripped it off the cypress tree, or something heavy stepped on it and it was broken. He turned and looked between the trees and seen what looked like a bear climbing a tree. He figured it must have been at least 15 or 20 foot up. Then it reached up and grabbed another branch with its hand and ripped it off again, and it made that same loud snapping sound. I said, was it a bear? And he said, have you ever saw a bear with a hand, boy? To be honest, at that time, I'd never seen a bear up close, so I really didn't know, but I said no. He said he wasn't paying attention to his pole at that point and it got yanked off the boat, but first it hit the side of the boat and made a noise. He watched it go in the water and looked back just on time to see that thing jump down out of the tree and run off. He said he was positive it wasn't an ape or a bear because it ran upright like a man. It had long reddish brown hair. He said he's seen it or them a couple of times after that, along the banks or behind the trees. He asked his old native friend about them, and he said that they've been out there forever, friends with the Seminoles, but hid from the military men because they tried to kill them. I always thought him and my father were pulling my leg. I spent years out there and hadn't seen one ever, till 2013. I was out fishing and working my way into my favorite spot. I shut the motor off and was drifting into the cove when I spotted one for the first time. He was still a good distance away from me. I wasn't entirely sure, but I had a good idea of what I was looking at. All the images that my gramps described to me was flashing through my mind. He was standing in the water. If I had to guess, it was maybe 3 foot deep. He was looking down at the water. I guess that's why he didn't notice me. He stood still as he was looking around the water, around his legs, back and forth, with his hands hanging down in the water. Then all at once he yanked his right hand up out of the water and was holding a good-sized fish. I couldn't tell what kind, nor did I care, but it had to be at least 18 or 20 inches long, because he used both hands and held it like a piece of corn when he bit into it and started eating it. Wow, yum. Now he started looking around while he was chewing and looked my way. At first, I don't think that he was sure what I was, but he knew I didn't belong. I froze, not because I was scared, I was far enough away, but because I wanted to continue watching him. He stared for a few moments and then took another bite, then started walking out of the water. Of course, that's when it hit me to get my phone out, take a picture. I started fumbling around trying to get the case open that hung on the side of my belt in order to get to the camera and open it and then find the blasted camera. Well, it was too late. He was gone. Go figure. But I'm not sure if I could have done it on time anyway. He would have seen me. So I went back time and time again, but I never saw him again. I have a couple of friends that are still looking and said they will send me a pic, but I'm not holding out hope for it. If they do send me one, maybe I'll send it to you, but don't count on it. Laugh out loud. Carl. Awesome. Wow. That is cool, Carl. Thank you for sending that in. Yeah, it sounds like that other story. That skunk ape was my grandpa's best friend. That's really cool. Yeah, and you know, I don't think they were too far apart, those areas either. So, you know, who knows, right? I mean, they probably did know each other. It could have been part of that group, clan, you know, whatever you want to call it. But what a wild experience. I mean, I can't imagine your grandfather going off the back of that boat into that water. I would be terrified. I think I'd be more scared of falling in that water. Man, those gators. Whew. That's one place I would not go swimming in, but people do. That guy where we stayed, rented from, he would swim out there in the St. John River. He'd swim out there with the manatees. I mean, that would be really cool. I'd enjoy that. That'd be a lot of fun. But just the thought of a 16-foot gator coming along and having you for lunch, I mean, I don't know about that. Anyway, all right. So that was great. Thank you so much for sending that in. I'm going to get on to that next story. Until then, I will see you soon.